Hello my fellow oddities, welcome to a new video. Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms is probably going to be painfully average. And I know that's quite shocking because pretty much everyone else in the Mortal Kombat community is extremely excited for this movie. And before people start coming after me because I'm not a real fan, trust me, I am a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. I've been playing these games since before I can even remember. So I am being 100% serious when I say I am not excited for this movie. Now why is that? Well, that's what you're here to find out. Here are the reasons that I am not excited for Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. But first, let me remind you guys that if you end up enjoying the video, then you should definitely leave a like, as it'll help me grow my channel a lot. Also make sure to subscribe and press that little bell icon, then choose all notifications to be notified every time I make a new video. Also make a comment that says if you are or are not excited for Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. Now without further ado, let's get started. First reason, Scorpion's Revenge wasn't all that good. Okay, now I know a lot of people like this movie. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, for a large amount of people, it's either between this or the 1995 movie for the best Mortal Kombat movie. But for me personally, it's not better than either of the live action movies. Now, it's obviously not the worst Mortal Kombat movie ever. That award goes to... yeah. But for me, the movie is just average. The only reason it's not worse is because of the amazing Scorpion subplot. I am not even lying when I say the entire Scorpion storyline in this movie might be the best part of any of these Mortal Kombat movies. And if the entire movie was just that story, it would be the best Mortal Kombat movie. 10 out of 10, no contest. But that is not the main plot of the movie. The main plot is the MK1 tournament. Now, it's already pretty disappointing that in a movie called Scorpion's Revenge, the Scorpion storyline has to be bogged down by the entirety of the MK1 story, but the tournament section is just inferior on all levels compared to everything with Scorpion. They basically did the bare minimum that they could possibly do with the MK1 plot. Pretty much 99% of all the problems I have is with the tournament. The only problem I really have with the Scorpion storyline is that they do Scorpion's entire story across all of the games in one movie. I mean, he kills Bi-Han, which is a good start, but then he finds out that Quan Chi killed him and his family, and then he kills Quan Chi too. Everything with Quan Chi was all supposed to happen during MK4. Now, taking later game storylines and putting it into one game seems to be something they're repeating in Battle of the Realms, which I'm pretty disappointed about, but I'll talk about that later. Now, what exactly are my problems with the whole tournament section? Well, the entire tournament part of this movie just feels rushed. I mean, the only characters I even like in the entire movie are Scorpion, Raiden, and maybe Johnny Cage. And even then, Johnny's just kind of annoying sometimes. Everyone else is either just average, has no personality, or straight up unlikable. I just want to talk about Sonya in this movie because, by God, is she annoying. Sonya is a lot of the times just kind of written to be stoic and honestly coming across as having a huge chip on her shoulder. This is a problem Sonya has a lot of the time, but it's turned up all the way to 11 in Scorpion's Revenge, and presumably Battle of the Realms. Also, this has a problem that pretty much every single Mortal Kombat movie has, and that's the villain problem. A villain problem is when most or all of your villains just have no personality or depth at all. And this is definitely the case in Scorpion's Revenge. I mean, even Sub-Zero, the second most popular Mortal Kombat character ever, has like just a few lines, and then he dies. Goro, the Prince of the Shokan and the champion of Mortal Kombat, is just a big monster who ends up getting unfairly killed by Scorpion at the end. Kano is literally just there to add some goons for the heroes to fight, and then he gets beat up and presumably dies when the entire island collapses. And don't even get me started on Reptile and Baraka. And before anyone says it, yes, I know they were retconned into being nameless members of their respective characters' species. But do you guys really think it was always intended to be that way? Do you? From the bottom of your heart? No. The other villains with Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are just fine, I guess. Now you might be wondering, why am I talking about Scorpion's Revenge when this is supposed to be a video about Battle of the Realms? Well, I'm concerned about this because these problems could, and probably will, carry over to Battle of the Realms. And if anything, with what I'm about to talk about next, They seem like they're doubling down on this kind of stuff, which is just kind of disappointing, honestly. And that will bring me to my second point. There's just too much stuff in this movie. So you know how one of my major problems with Scorpion's Revenge was that most of the characters were unmemorable or unlikable? Now, how exactly do you fix that? According to the writers of Battle of the Realms, you just add a lot more characters. Here is a list of every single character that's in Battle of the Realm. Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, Jax, Stryker, Smoke, Cyrax, Sector, the Lin Kuei Grandmaster, Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung, Reiko, Li Mei, Baraka, D'Vorah, Kitana, Jade, Melina, Kentaro, Shinnok, and the One Being. That is 25 characters. But that may be 24 just because there's still some confusion whether Melina is actually in the movie. I mean, she hasn't been featured in any of the marketing, which is kind of weird for one of the most popular characters in all of Mortal Kombat with one of the most savage fan bases. But that's still a lot of characters. And I'm willing to bet literally millions of dollars that most of these guys are going to get zero development. I mean, there's literally a clip online of this movie where Kitana is creating battle strategies right next to Reiko. You know, the general. I mean, this is just a bad year for Reiko, isn't it? First we had... And now we have him being told what to do when that's literally his job to tell people what to do. And can someone please explain to me why D'Vorah is in this movie? There's literally no reason. I mean, I get she was in an MKX flashback that was set during MK2, but why would you include her? Literally everyone hates her. I don't know one person that genuinely likes D'Vorah's character. I mean, at least she's probably gonna die. I really hope she's gonna die. But characters is not the only thing this movie has way too much of. There's also a ton of subplots. Now, normally, a movie will have one main plot and maybe 1 to 2 side plots. The main plot of Scorpion's Revenge was the tournament, and the side plot was the whole Scorpion storyline. Now, how many plots does Battle of the Realms have? Well, we have the main plot being the Outworld tournament. The various side plots include Scorpion collecting the Kamidogus, the Cyber Initiative, Shinnok's return, Kitana's redemption plus Melina, if Melina is even in the movie. And it seems there's also going to be Liu Kang's backstory and exploring Raiden's mortality. And finally, they seem to be going more in depth on the Elder Gods and the One Being's backstory. Now, I just want to say, this is just my speculation from what I can see in the trailers. There might be other side plots I don't know about, or I might be including a side plot that isn't actually going to be in the movie. But just seeing from what's in the trailer, it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of subplots, which is not good. And this is coming from a Spider-Man fan who watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2 in theaters. Now, don't get me wrong, there are way more side plots in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I'm just saying that there should only be around maybe 1 or 2 side plots. More than that is just kind of stretching it a bit, especially when a lot of these side plots don't even have anything to do with the Mortal Kombat 2 tournament. I'll go more in depth with this later, but why is the MK3 Cyber Initiative happening now? Why is Shinnok returning way before he does in MK4? And don't even get me started on the whole Kamidogu quest, which happens in MK Deception. Deception came out over 10 years after Mortal Kombat 2. But like I said, I'll go back to those later. If I were to guess, a lot of these storylines are going to be probably very short and not given the time they really need to be a satisfying storyline. Kind of like the tournament section in Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. So overall, it's just kind of sad that these storylines won't get the attention that they rightfully deserve. And this brings me to my third point, some very unnecessary lore changes. Now, I am all up for lore changes. My favorite Mortal Kombat movie is the newest live action one that just came out, and that has a ton of lore changes. But in my opinion, most of them are just fine or even better than the original storyline. Like, I really like that there's a storyline before the first tournament. It gives the characters more of a motivation to actually go to the tournament instead of either being invited randomly or just happening to be there. I also like the dragon marking, minus the Arcana. It gives death more meaning for those who weren't born with it, and bloodline more meaning for those who were. So I didn't really mind it. Also, the movie went big or went home. It didn't make irritating minor changes. It made sure if there was going to be changes, then they were going to be big changes. This isn't something I can say for the Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of the Realms timeline, though. They kind of just make these weird changes that kind of just feel really unnecessary and don't really add anything, and in the end just kind of mess up storylines. I mean, like I said earlier, there is no reason for the Mortal Kombat Deception Kamidogu quest to be in a Mortal Kombat 2 storyline, and of course it would be really weird if they had Shujinko just all of a sudden showed up, so they gave the honor to Scorpion. This also reduced the importance of that entire storyline, seeing as Shujinko took years, decades even, to collect every single Kamidogu. But it seems like Scorpion is just going to get them all in one movie. This is the same thing with Shinnok returning in MK2 instead of MK4. Because by the end of the movie, Shinnok's probably going to be imprisoned again, and Liu Kang and all the other Earthrealm fighters probably wouldn't even know Shinnok came back. The Cyber Initiative stuff isn't as bad, since it's more of a minor thing from the games, but it is kind of disappointing that it seems like Smoke, Cyrax, and Sector are just going to be glorified cameos. There's also some other just kind of weird changes that I'm not a big fan of, like Raiden being mortal and fighting in the tournament just is kind of a weird change. Like, we all know that Raiden's weaker in realms that aren't Earthrealm, but he's only weakened. He's not reduced to just a normal guy. Also, Jax kills Kentaro. Now I get this is supposed to be revenge since Goro ripped off Jax's arms in the first one, but Kentaro is supposed to be a sub-boss. He's supposed to be the final challenge before you go up against Shao Kahn. So for him to be just killed by a character like Jax, who is just not as powerful as a character like Kung Lao or even Johnny Cage, which those characters I would be fine with, but of course, we all know who should really have been the one to defeat Kentaro. Liu Kang. I mean, doing all this just kind of defeats the point of a sub-boss. Now Goro is just some regular four-armed cat monster. Another weird thing is that it seems Smoke might be a bad guy. This might not be true, but there's still a lot of pictures and clips of him fighting Sub-Zero, which, is supposed to be his friend. I'm not 100% sure on this one though, but I guess we'll see when the movie comes out. Another huge difference is it doesn't seem like Scorpion or Sub-Zero will even be participating in the tournament. Again, this is just from trailer footage, but it doesn't really seem like they'll have enough time to. Sub-Zero is dealing with the Cyber Initiative and trying to track down Scorpion so he can kill him, and Scorpion is doing all the Kamidogu stuff. This is really weird because in the original MK2, this was I think the only side plot was Scorpion looking after Kuai Liang at the tournament because he felt bad about, killing his brother. But instead of using the real side plot from MK2, they just take other stuff from other games and then remove that actual side plot. I just think that's really weird and a very strange choice. The last thing I'm going to talk about, this is a really minor thing, but why is Shang Tsung still old? After MK2, he should have had his youth restored by Shao Kahn. But this isn't as big a deal because in other Mortal Kombat movies, he's been young straight off the bat and not old at all, so it's not that big a deal. Speaking of minor things, this is what the last section will be. It's just some minor things that aren't deal breakers like some of the other stuff, but it's just stuff that I'm kind of not so fancy about. First of all is the overuse of gore. Now, I know people are like, this is Mortal Kombat, how can you overuse gore? But in my opinion, if you're going to have gore in something Mortal Kombat related, then those gory moments have to be something special. You shouldn't waste chopping up your opponents on just some nameless goon. It should be a big moment that's built up to. But in Scorpion's Revenge, and what seems to be the case in Battle of the Realms, is just completely dismembering, chopping apart nameless goons. And that's just kind of disappointing because it's just going to desensitize me, and now the big moments where they kill off a main character won't hit as hard as anymore. Also, another thing that a lot of people have actually been talking about, Kung Lao is probably going to die. For the third time. It's like whenever Liu Kang needs a motivation, they turn right to Kung Lao and say, sorry buddy, but this is just a rumor, but I will be shocked if Kung Lao actually does make this out alive. Another thing I have a problem with is the art style and the animation sometimes. There are a lot of moments, specifically in the trailer, where the animation and the art style just do not look good. at all. It looks fine in motion, but as soon as you press that pause button at any moment where the characters are moving or doing something, it's gonna bring up some interesting results. Another thing that's kind of related to the art style is the character designs, which I'm really not a big fan of. Most of the designs are either from Mortal Kombat X, which is one of my least favorite Mortal Kombat games, or MK9, one of the best Mortal Kombat games, but still, can I have some originality with these designs? This might be an unpopular opinion, but MKX definitely has the worst designs in all of Mortal Kombat. I mean, they're all desaturated and brown and have straps all over them, and most of the time they're over-designed as well. MK9 isn't nearly as bad, but I'd rather see some more classic design. The last thing I want to say is that when Baraka dies in this movie and has barely anything to do, just like his apparent no-name Tarkatan from the last one, I'm sure they're going to make another excuse to just put him in the next one. They're going to be like, oh, what? No, that wasn't Baraka. That was his brother named Garaka. And then when Reiko dies, they're going to be like, no, that wasn't Reiko. That was Jaco. No, that's not Lee May. That's Mirai. Oh, what are you talking about? That's not Kentaro. That's Bob. So those are the reasons why I am not very excited for Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. When the movie fully comes out, I will be doing a full review on this channel, so if you would like to see that, make sure you have subscribed and turned the notifications on to all. Also, one last reminder to leave a like and also comment your thoughts on the upcoming Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms. Alright, that's it for now, my fellow oddities. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.